This is Diane with Yesterday's News, and today we are talking with Jakey Lee, and Red Dragon Cartel's got a new album, Patina, coming out on November 9th through Frontiers Music SRL. Hey, Jakey, how are you doing today?
I am hanging in there.
Awesome. First, we'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us, because we know how busy you are, and it's really cool to see that Patina's getting this foothold. First question for you on this is, how thrilled are you with how the sound came out? Because it's so different from the first album.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm extremely happy. I was, the first album, I'm proud of that album. It was sort of an alien effort for me, because it was done in a more modern process. It entailed me, I would come up with a riff, have some music, and I'd put it down. I'd record it against a click track. And then Kevin would figure out what drummer would sound good on it. And then the drummer would come in and put his piece down. Then we'd find a bass player that would sound good on it, and he'd come in. So we never played the song together. It was different for me, and I'm glad I gave it a shot. But it's not the way I'd ever done anything before. And I knew if I was going to do another record, I wanted to do it the old school way, the way I'd always done it since I was a teenager. You get together in a garage, or we're mature now, so we actually use a studio. But you get the band together, and then I throw the ideas out there, and we work on it as a band. And for me, it's just a more satisfying process. It's more honest in my eyes, anyway. And if you have something good or not right away. I mean, with everybody playing, I'll have an idea, and we'll all work on it, and then after a couple minutes, it's pretty apparent whether or not the idea sucked or not. For example, Havana, when I first came up with that riff, I wasn't dead sure about it. I thought it was a cool riff. I didn't know how it was going to sound with the whole band, so I played the riff, and then when the band kicked in, it just hit you in the face, and it was so obvious that, wow, this is going to be a really good song. And because of that, I think every song on the record is a good song, and every song on the record I think we can play live, and it's going to be even better. Like I said with Havana, in the room with all the amps cranked, when the band comes in, it just hits you across the face, and I'm really looking forward to doing that live, and so people can see how powerful these songs are in a live environment.
What was the biggest difference in the writing process for you this time? Because I know you said the last album was kind of written a little different, but what was the biggest difference? I mean, for you guys totally. Was it more of a collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, I still wrote the bulk of the music. I'm the one who comes up with the ideas and the riffs. But now, with this album, it was because I did it with everybody else. There's a drums and there is bass there, and we could take whatever idea I have and work on it, and if this certain idea would flourish, then we'd go with it. If it wasn't working, we could change it right away. On the first record, I would put the ideas down on tape. Well, not tape anymore, but I would record the ideas, and then it's kind of, that's the way it was. There wasn't a lot of collaboration as far as maybe it would sound better going this way, or maybe it would be better if we went off on this tangent here in the song. So this one was more of a band effort, and I think overall the album comes across that way. It's more cohesive. It's more old school. We did it very old school, and I think that's where the comparisons to Badlands comes in, because I don't necessarily think it sounds like Badlands, but I think the feeling of it is what people are talking about when they say it sounds like old Badlands. It's the process. I think they're recognizing the process and the overall feeling, as opposed to the band sounding really that much like Badlands, other than the fact that I play guitar in both bands.
See, and it's funny that you say that, because actually I was thinking the same thing, because it really does remind me of Badlands, but it was hard to put my finger on it. It wasn't, oh, this sounds like Badlands. It's just, I knew you from Ozzy from before, and so my teenage years were around Badlands, and when I heard the first Badlands album, that was when my respect for you became a strong lifelong thing because of the way that you write and perform. It has just this beautiful feel to it. And so I get what they're saying, that Badlands feel is there, but it's not the heavier Badlands sound, but it's just that feel and the style and the writing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you said. Yeah, I personally, I musically, yeah, some of the songs could have been Badlands songs. Bitter, in particular, which we're shooting a video for this coming up week, that definitely could have been a Badlands song. Yeah, I think it's more the overall feel and the production and all of that, which people are appreciating as far as what Badlands was like, because the process is very similar to the way it was in Badlands. So yeah, I can see it.
Let's steer away from the Badlands part of it, because it isn't Badlands and it's not metal. It's more this blues rock. And how did the blues rock sound come into this? Because I'm really appreciating that feel to the album. Was it something that you had forethought to do, or is it just kind of just came out of you and that's what you felt as you were writing?
Yeah, I didn't have any ideas as far as what I wanted it to sound like. I just knew that I wanted the process to be honest, like it was in the old days. I could see it's maybe more than anything else, it might be kind of a blues rock thing, but there's also some stuff that's, well, Crooked Man, I would say. I don't see that as being very bluesy at all. It's really just kind of an ugly, twisted up riff. The song title actually came from that riff because it's very crooked sounding. There's a lot of blues rock influence in it, because when we were writing the record out on Anthony's ranch, because his studio is on his ranch and Scenic Arts, he has a large house where he can accommodate everybody while we're working on stuff during the day, because I don't like to play during the day. To me, that's just not rock and roll. It never was. Rock and roll is supposed to be blasting like at midnight, and it doesn't feel good for me to play during the day. What was the point I was getting to there?
Well, you took me off there because I saw you guys in 2014 when you played at Sweden Rock, and it was funny because it stood out to me that they had you guys in like one of the earliest slots of the day, and I'm thinking, how is this even happening?
Yeah, that's weird. Although, you know, like I said, playing during the day is weird for me, but I can always, one of the highlights of playing live for me was that first US Festival, and that was during the day. And I can still play during the day. I just sort of have to embrace that that's when the US Festival was, and I can get over it. I can play during the day. So during the day, I wouldn't be playing. Usually that's when other people would record the drums, bass, singing. For some reason, they feel fine doing it during the day, and then I would come in at night. So during the day, I would listen to. I listened to basically what I would have listened to when I was a teenager. I went way back into those musics. Like I listened to a lot of Alice Cooper, Grand Funk, Humble Pie. I listened to a lot of Three Dog Night during the day, and it would. I think it surfaced during the writing. It was so. It does kind of harken back to 70s rock because of that.
Yeah, and you can feel it in the album. I mean, that there's so many different things going on in this album, but compared to the first album to your second album now, the sound is very cohesive. It sounds like this is Red Dragon Cartel. There's no mistaking it.
I agree with that. And it is, there is a lot of different seasonings to it. There's little portions where I play jazzy. I riff jazzy kind of guitar playing, and there's one song where it kind of goes into a surf guitar part, and I'll tell people that, and I feel like they get scared, you know, because that's not what they're expecting from me. But it all works in the general landscape of everything. It's not like we do a jazz song. It's not like we do a surf song. But I love throwing little elements of those kinds of music into the middle of a rock song. For me, it just makes everything exciting, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And if the music's not exciting for me, then I don't even know what I would be doing it for. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be doing it just to make some money. Every project I've ever had It's been for the music's sake.
In 2014, for the first album, Darren didn't have all of the vocals. There were a bunch of different guest vocalists throughout the album. In this new album, it's Darren solely. So what was the thought process this time for not having any guest vocalists versus the first time?
Well, the first time it was enticed by Kevin Churko, who originally we got together because we both live in Vegas, and we knew each other through friends. Anyway, we got together, and his first question was, what would it take for me to go back with Ozzy? Because he was working on a couple of Ozzy albums back then, Black Rain, and I don't know what else. So he wanted to know if I would ever play with Ozzy again and what it would take to do that. So that was our initial conversation. Once we realized that that wasn't going to happen, he asked me what it would take to get me to play music again anyway. He said, I have a studio. You can come into the studio, write a song. I'll find the players to be on it. And the first song was Feeder. So I wrote Feeder, and then, he had Xander come in and sing on it. And that's what convinced me, because I thought that song came out great. It got me really excited about music again. So we continued on that path where I would write a song, and then we would find an appropriate singer for each song, which made it interesting for me in particular, because I'd never done anything like that before. And it wasn't until halfway through the record that I realized if I was going to go out and tour on this, there was no way I was going to be able to get all these singers to come out on the road, that I would need a band. That's when I started looking for a singer, and I found Darren, but he only came in halfway through, so I think he sang about half the record.
Yeah.
So it was out of necessity that I find somebody that I was happy with singing. Darren came in, although I'll say he wasn't as good on the first record as he is on this one. Maybe not as good is not the right way to put it. He was, because it was Kevin Churko, who's, he does Five Finger Death Punch, and he does a lot of new metal type stuff. Darren was encouraged to sing harsher than he normally would, and I don't think it was indicative of his true singing ability. On this record, I think he really shines. He's got a beautiful voice, and I think people, if they give him a chance, will find that he's truly one of the better singers out there.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you on that. And when I did see you guys at Sweden Rock, and he seemed like he really struggled with the harder vocals, and it didn't really seem like it was his style of singing. And hearing him on Patina, it just comes together in this beautiful formed melding sound that just says, this is the sound.
Yes, and he has a warm voice. He has a real beautiful quality to his singing, and it wasn't really accented on the first record. And then live, he would have to sing those songs pretty much in the vein of the album, and then I'd ask him to sing Ozzy songs, which, all of that, I can see where people thought maybe he wasn't the right singer. But on the other hand, he sang the Badlands songs wonderfully,
Phenomenal.
I thought. In a Dream, I think that was his idea to start doing that live. I thought he was crazy. I said, you're going to tackle In a Dream, where, you're naked. I'm backing you up on guitar, but you're out there all by and it's Ray yelling.
Yeah.
And he said, no, well, let's just see what it sounds like. And then we did it. And he, I think Ray would have been proud of the way that Darren sang that song.
I loved it. I think he's just a phenomenal singer, and I really enjoyed what he did with that. So I totally agree with you. Can I backtrack onto a point you brought up? Would you ever play with Ozzy again?
I would. I don't think it'll ever happen. Sharon had called me somewhere, 2009, maybe 2010, somewhere in there. She tracked me down and called me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing some festivals with Ozzy and possibly the next record. At that time, I told her, I don't have any problem doing that. And I said, but it's always irked me. If you could just get my name onto the songs that I wrote on Bark at the Moon, then we can move forward. And that was obviously not not going to happen. And it was the same with when I talked to Churko. If he said if I was going to do anything with Ozzy, what would it take? And I said that again. I mean, I'm not holding a grudge about it. I'm not harboring any ill will about it. But I feel like that was somewhere where I got screwed. And if we can fix it, then I'm willing to do something with them again. I don't want to be, and I love Bob Daisley, but I don't want to be the next Bob Daisley where I keep going back to him thinking that I'm going to get a good deal and then getting fucked again over and over. And part of that's Bob's fault, you know. How many times do you go back to the dog that keeps biting you?
Exactly, and that's definitely a fair way to say it. That, you know, as an artist, you deserve fair credit for the work that you do, and that should never be disputed.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I didn't want money. I didn't want, I didn't want publishing. I didn't want money. I didn't care if I ever made a penny off it. It would just be nice to have my name on music that I wrote.
And I wholeheartedly support that and agree with that statement. Absolutely. And I think there are tons of fans out there who would totally agree with you on that.
But apparently, they don't. I mean, because, like I said, it came up twice, working with Ozzy, and both times I said, if we can get this squared away, then I have no problem. And I would still work with Ozzy. I think it'd be fun. It's been so long. And I love Ozzy. Like I said, I'd be perfectly willing to do it, but there is that one point of contention that we have, and it doesn't look like that would ever be worked out. So I don't think chances of me doing that are very good.
So let's move on to the next thing here. You guys have already announced that you're going to be playing some shows in Japan. What do the rest of the world fans have to look forward to? Are you guys planning a big tour in 2019, or kind of strategically playing it out?
Well, right now, I just confirmed the dates for our U.S. tour, which starts in late February.
Please tell me Seattle is on that. We would love to see you back at Friggin'.
I could tell you, but I'd be lying.
Well, I might have to hunt you down then.
Well, I think it basically lasts a month, and it starts in the Southwest. I think the closest we get to Seattle is Reno. But, it starts in the Southwest, works its way across. I'm not even sure if we're playing Florida or anything, because it looks like basically we're doing a swath across the USA from Southwest to the Northeast. And like I said, that'll entail about a month. Then we do Japan. We're working on setting up a European tour immediately after Japan, but we're working on that. And then after that, I suppose we could do a reverse tour of the U.S. where we start out, say, in Florida, and then work our way up to Seattle, if that'll make you happy.
You know, there's a thing called airplanes, and I will find you. You guys do a fantastic show, and I mean, like I said, I saw you guys in Sweden, and then I saw you guys here in Seattle, but that was when there was that dip without Darren on vocals and Chaz was playing, and so it was a little bit of a different kind of thing, but
yeah,
it's not that
far. Yeah, that was fun, though. I don't know, I don't know if fans got mad about that or not. I never really heard anything about that, other than everybody thought I was being willy-nilly about hiring and firing. But that was never the case. That was, Darren and I had a disagreement about something. He didn't quit. I didn't fire him. But I decided we couldn't be on the tour together until we worked our differences out. And so I got, I think, 4 singers that I had available and gave them each basically 10 dates between them. So I wasn't hiring people and then firing them. They were all substitutes until I could work shit out with Darren. It was fun. I mean, it was interesting, put it that way, because one singer would finish his run and the next one would come in, and you'd rehearse for a day, but then you really didn't know how it was going to work out live, and some of it was very interesting.
You know, we had a great time up here, and the fans in Seattle, they understood that there was a difference in vocals, and it was still a really great show. Still, Jakey Lee was just a great night out.
Yeah, I don't think we ever sucked, so.
No, it was really, it was just fun, and that's live music, you know? Things happen, doesn't matter, but you're going to have a good time, so. Can I ask you, is there anything you haven't done in your career yet that you still want to do?
Huh. Well, that's a good question. No, I can't.
You know,
I can't think.
that's a great answer though, because that means you've done pretty much everything you've wanted to do.
Yeah, it means I'm ready to quit.
Don't do
So,
that though.
that is just a joke. But when I was in Ozzy, Us Festival was what, 300,000 people. Then we did the first Rock in Rio, which was closer to 500,000. So I got to play. That would be one thing somebody would want to do, is know what it feels like to play in front of hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. And I got to do that pretty early in my career. And I got to go all over the world. And I was on albums that sold millions. I'm happy with the career I've had. I couldn't really ask for anything better. So there's nothing in particular I need to do or want to do other than just continue to play.
That's awesome. And I'm thrilled to hear that, because so many times I talk to people and they say there's so many things they still have never done. And it's so cool to finally talk to someone that says, hey, I'm content. That's really awesome.
What are the things that they usually say?
Oh, well, Darren told me he wanted to buy a jet.
Wanted to buy a jet. Well, that's just stupid.
No, I've there's a lot of people that want to, they want to have, really successful albums, and they just have not gotten to that level yet where they feel like it's success for themselves, or there's things that they've just struggled with. And so I'm always hoping that the musicians and artists that do the work get what they're looking for out of it.
Yeah. Obviously, like I said, I had a very illustrious and good career. But I don't think I would have ever said anything other than the opportunity to play music, to record music was really all I wanted to ever do. I wouldn't have been unhappy even if I hadn't been in Ozzy. Oh God, I don't want to sound like some kind of weirdo, but for me the satisfaction was in just doing it, not how popular, not how many albums it sold. That's all stuff that I don't care about. Being recognized was, when I was in Ozzy, that was something I didn't like. I didn't like going to a mall and being recognized. I mean, I didn't hate it. It was cool with it, but after a while, it was just frustrating. And so my goals in music was never to be popular, never to sell 1 million records. And I'm sure a lot of people will say that that's good because it's not going to happen again. I'm just taking the voice of a troll there. But yeah, actually, that's because I did read somewhere in some chat somewhere. I had said something like that before. I don't consider it important to live up to other people's expectations or what they think the music I should be playing does. I just do what I want, and if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then some troll said, "Mission accomplished, bro."
People in their social media are really terrible today. Because you 9 times out of 10, they would never say that to your face, but they say it online.
No, I've rarely had anybody say anything to my face like that. It's easy to be brave behind a computer screen, yes. But I don't take to heart any of the things that they say. I recognize that most of the people that say really bad things are just trying to stir shit up, and they find entertainment in that. And so I don't. Usually, I find entertainment in it too. The trolls that I get, actually kind of look forward to seeing what they say, because it usually cracks me up. I mean, if you're going to troll, at least be funny.
You're going to have to watch your feed for the next few weeks now.
I know. I'm asking for it.
So I have one last question for you, and this one is for the fans. You've been making your music with Red Dragon Cartel. You've been doing your thing for years. What do you have to say to your fans? Because you've had people that have stayed with you throughout forever, and you've got new fans that are going to find Red Dragon Cartel. What do you want to express to them?
Well, the ones that have stuck with me, I think that's miraculous. Because I stepped out of the biz for quite a while, and usually people move on and look for the next thing that they want to listen to, and the fact that so many people apparently was still interested in anything that I had to do musically was very heartwarming. I appreciate that, and I just can't believe there are people like that, and it's a good thing. it's something that there's so many things about people in general that I don't want to say in these days, because I'm pretty sure the world's always been like that. People can always find bad. People can always think that humanity is a big piece of shit, and it's easy to find those examples. But the people that are my fans are the opposite of that.
Absolutely.
They're the best people in the world, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Because, yeah, there's always a great crowd when you're out playing, and people are so friendly at the shows. And, that's the one thing I say. Music brings people together in a way that we can't seem to get our world to come together, but music can do it.
That is one of the beautiful things about music is, you can have a political opinions that are different from the guy next to you. If religious, everything, all those things. You can have different hockey teams.
Yep.
you can have a guy who's a Flyers fan, and you can have a guy who's a Penguins fan, and they can be standing next to each other, enjoying the same thing and having a good time. And I do think that's one of the important roles that music plays.
And I absolutely agree with you on that. Well, Jake, I want to say thank you again so much for taking time out of your really busy schedule. And I want to reiterate to the crowd listening to this, Patina comes out on November 9th. Frontiers Music. You guys pick this album up. It's available. You can stream it. You can get a CD, and you can even pick it up on vinyl. Jake, thank you again. We wish you the best of luck with the release.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I do. I think this album is up there with the best that I've ever done, and I'm very proud of it. And whether people actually buy it or not, I just hope they give it a listen, because I really do think it's a good piece of work.
I do too, and I've already got my pre-order vinyl, so I'm a professed fan. I'm really looking forward to the album, so I'm still one of those people who loves to get the album, check out the artwork, and
Yeah, and the smell. I remember
Yes.
I always loved the smell. You open it up, and then you just get a wonderful smell coming out of it. And we did with I'll say that with Punch Clown, because we recorded the album, we sequenced it, and Punch Clown was in there. When it came to do the vinyl, you can only put so much music on vinyl. If you have too much, the grooves get thinner and the quality goes down. So we had to take out a song and for the vinyl, and that's why Punch Clown became a bonus track on the CD. And people have asked me, if it's a bonus track, why is it not at the end? And it's because it was originally meant to be there, and the only reason we pulled it out was so that we would maintain the quality on the vinyl. So what I'm saying is, you'll get a good piece of vinyl.
That is a great backstory to that. That's really cool.
In fact, I think 20 minutes per side is what you usually strive for on vinyl. If it's less than that, the quality is actually better, but it's still pretty good at 20 minutes per side. I think you can go up to 22 without ruining it, but once you get past that, say you put 25 minutes aside, it really starts sounding like shit.
That's so cool.
So be wary of those bands that have 60-minute vinyl albums.
Oh my gosh, now I am going to be worried. All the bands listening to this, Jake Elitis blew you out of the water. He's telling the secrets. Thanks again, Jake.
Oh, no, it was my pleasure.
My pleasure too. Bye-bye.